We are going to discuss and hopefully welcome and endorse a document we call a protection agenda.
Climate and natural disaster-induced displacement affects millions of people.
Climate change is the key defining problem of our times.
Displacement due to natural disaster and climate change should be a major development issue.
Hopefully, Nansen initiative is the turning point.
To fail to plan is to plan to fail.
In October 2012, Switzerland and Norway launched the Nansen initiative, a consultation process, a bottom-up approach, a consensus on how to better offer protection for people who are forced to flee as a consequence of disasters and climate change. With today's conference, the Nansen initiative comes to a conclusion. However, the global consultation should not be considered as the end of the Nansen initiative, but rather as a first step. We now enter a new phase.
The objective of the Nansen initiative since 2012 was to develop and forge a global consensus about displacement, human displacement due to climate change and natural disasters, which was really a gap in our multilateral or international thinking and advocacies.
Of course, we know that we're living in an era of unprecedented human mobility. There have never been so many people on the move, roughly 1 billion out of our 7 billion world. Unfortunately, much of that is forced migration.
The global consolidations has come at a time the world is at the crossroads as to how to deal with persons displaced across borders by natural disasters occurrences. Kenya was honored to have hosted the regional consolidations for the Greater Horn of Africa in March 2014. As you know, the outcome of the Nairobi consultation formed the basis for the protection agenda.
Because we understand that migration is changing a lot, displacement is also changing, and the requirements of protection are growing. And we have a new law on migrations, which has taken on a new category, a humanitarian category. And that's where people that are in Peru can request protection, not necessarily under the criteria for refugees. There are broader criteria and disasters can be included. That's the case of Haitians that were in Peru, that have been passing through in many cases to Brazil, but others who are still in Peru. And there was no quality of migration to be given to them.
We stay, we adapt, and we minimize risks. Having said that, it is naive to disregard that in our future we may have to consider relocation. But as such, we must ensure that any movement and relocation must happen with dignity. I am so pleased that the agenda for the protection of cross-border displaced persons demonstrates that the Secretariat has listened to our collective Pacific voice.
En el nivel internacional necesitamos crear sinergias entre las distintas iniciativas y elevar nuestra voz sobre los vínculos existentes entre los derechos humanos, el cambio climático y los desastres y la necesidad de incorporar estos elementos en la acción climática.
We are very much aware of the impact of climate change and eventual relocation of displaced communities. We stand by to do our best, even though our home front has been marred and scarred from this global phenomena. Fiji reiterates its support for the Nansen Initiative agenda.
The agenda that is going to be adopted tomorrow will bring the whole debate hopefully in the center. Most important, Paris. You know, the Paris, the non-paper that we see came out of 8th October, still do not take into account the climate change, natural disaster, displacement issues. And we will work, hopefully, through a coalition to bring it back in Paris.
Through your national statements, contributions, and participation in this conference, you have expressed your strong support for the protection agenda. May I now read out the final statement on behalf of 111 delegations. We, ministers and representatives from 111 delegations, met in Geneva on 12th and 13th October 2015 for a global consultation to take stock of and discuss the findings of the Nansen initiative, to identify future action, and to strengthen our efforts to prevent and address cross-border disaster displacement. We recognize these as relevant suggestions and will promote and apply as appropriate the findings of the agenda nationally as well as in regional and international fora and processes. I wish to thank all of you and declare this conference for closed.
I think that the lessons from what we've just observed here at this conference are valuable not just for the protection of disaster-related displacement, but for other topics in general. I think that really the initiative invented a new form of international cooperation and of global governance, and one that should hold lessons for many other areas where international governance seems to be in a deadlock at the moment.
I was also very impressed by the fact that even though states have different interests, different backgrounds, different experiences, the main key messages coming out of the agenda were accepted by states, and I'm quite confident that we can build on this, that the group of states will push the UN agencies to work on the issues, that there will be resources, support in order to implement what is in the agenda. So we are really now moving into an implementation phase, but it only will work if you have a group of states continuing to push that.